All right. Thank you everyone for joining us today for our webinar on managing your business constraints. My name is Tiffany Tran and I'm one of the business advisors here at CallSource. I am joined by my colleague Thomas Scott.
Good morning, everybody.
Today we're going to be talking about managing your business constraints and how that can help you improve your business. Just as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded so that you can share it with your team later. This will also be interactive to where you can ask questions at the end of our webinar and participate in polls and things like that throughout. So if you haven't done so already, please use the phone option to call into today's webinar so that we can get those questions answered at the end. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So again, we're going to start talking about managing your business constraints. We're going to be discussing particular constraints that often affect many businesses in the HVAC world, plumbing world, electrical world, things of that nature. Constraint points that I often see on a daily basis in working with my clients. We're going to go into detail on the theory of constraints, marketing capacity, conversion capacity, your scheduling capacity, and overall managing each of those constraint points. While your business is its own unique entity, by the end of this webinar, you will be equipped to begin the process of identifying your specific constraint points and how to start managing those constraints. The idea of managing business constraints is supported by the book The Goal, A Process of Ongoing Improvement by Dr. Goldratt. While the book actually provides insight into the constraints faced by a manufacturing company, we've found that the concept can be directly applied to your business as well and supports all of the topics we're going to be discussing today. The theory of constraints breaks down into identifying the most important limiting factor, or the constraint that stands in the way of achieving a goal, and then systematically improving that constraint until it's no longer a limiting factor. This can be summed up in a quote by Goldratt. The capacity of your business is equal to the capacity of its bottlenecks. Now, that's a great point. There's a lot of data that CallSource provides to you, and knowing how to separate the metrics that are responsible for growth from all the other data will help clarify exactly what needs to be managed. Each growth metric can be a constraining point for your business, and knowing how to implement a process of ongoing improvement in the business, you can identify the most important constraint that stands in the way of achieving your goal. It's our goal to help you identify these things in order to be able to figure out exactly where your constraint points are. In order to achieve higher results, whether in your personal life or business, you need to set goals, right? A business cannot manage for improvement without understanding where you are already finding success and where there is opportunity for improvement. Process creates clarity. CallSource helps you clarify what needs to be managed in order to create that success. Again, that's our goal. From here, we're going to discuss business growth and how it can be likened to a manufacturer assembly line. Each unit produced needs to be processed by a series of machines before the end goal is achieved. Each step in the process is dependent on the next. Now, the machine you're seeing here, it's going to show you the smallest capacity dictates the number of units that are being produced. In this case, C is that constraint point in the process and dictates that productivity. Now, only 2 units will be produced even though D has the capacity of 10 units. Even if we went back and maximized A and B to their fullest potential, we will still yield only 2 units. So why is that? The total process can only be improved when the constraint is improved, when that bottleneck is managed. Your business is facing a similar process in generating or manufacturing sales and ultimately your business's growth. Organizational performance is dictated by these roadblocks. Imagine that this machine is representing your call handlers, for instance. Machine C would be depictive of the number of call handlers, or maybe a call handler that's rude to the potential new customers calling in. In either scenario, that would definitely impact your organization's performance for different reasons. You are only as strong as your weakest link. CallSource's reporting creates transparency into the typical constraint points faced by our clients. These are restrictions that prevent your business from maximizing its performance and reaching its goals. Constraints can involve things like people, supplies, information, your equipment, or even policies, and this can be internal or external to your organization. The main capacity restraints we'll be looking into are your marketing capacity, or the ability to generate leads in order to acquire new clients, conversion capacity, or setting as many appointments as possible, and scheduling capacity, or the scheduling availability of the office. This essentially determines or limits the size of your business. This is going to be important for later. Let's take a closer look at marketing capacity. Marketing capacity, or generating leads, is the first step in acquiring new customers. Your business cannot grow beyond the number of leads generated. Let's talk about an example. A business's goal is to gain 100 new customers per month, and they're generating 50 new leads per month. So the question then becomes, first and foremost, are enough prospects being generated to meet sales and growth objectives? Absolutely not. A business cannot grow beyond the number of leads generated. In this specific example, the business's maximum capacity for growth is limited to 50 new customers. The business will fall short of its goal of 100 new customers. Even if you have a perfect conversion rate, your schedule is open, and acquisition are operating at their optimal levels. In this scenario, the business's marketing operates as a constraint to their growth. Increasing or improving its marketing campaigns is necessary to grow revenue. Now that we've identified the marketing constraint, let's look at how we can manage this constraint. The best question to ask yourself in this scenario is, can additional prospects be generated? Usually, absolutely. There are a few ways that you can do this. So the question then becomes, how can you achieve this? The first thing that can be done is obviously additional marketing, as noted here. This would need to be carefully measured for effectiveness. Business leaders would want to avoid throwing money at the problem, and marketing is expensive, as we all know. Additional marketing can include more frequent mailers, new mediums, or even an improved online presence. You want to make sure that you're tracking this. Without tracking this, you won't know if your efforts are worthwhile. We'd want to look into what has been successful or unsuccessful in the past to make sure we don't repeat the same mistakes unnecessarily. And again, you don't want to waste money on that marketing effort if it didn't work for you in the past. Our reporting can help to provide insight into what has worked and what hasn't worked. Your business advisor can help you take a look at your specific account and data to help you determine a plan for your business. You can utilize for the most effective method of generating prospects, and that would obviously be referrals from your existing customers. It doesn't hurt to ask if a happy customer knows anyone else who would benefit from your service. Another way to manage the constraint is improved marketing. This can be as simple as altering a marketing message to elicit a stronger response. This allows a new marketing effort without spending additional money in new marketing sources. Improved marketing can also include ending campaigns that are yielding your low returns. That way, the money can be reallocated to new marketing campaigns, which will keep the overall marketing cost in check. Your business advisor can also help you determine these things so that you can reallocate this ad spend accordingly. At this time, I'm going to pass it off to Thomas to provide a real-world example of how improved marketing can help. Take it away, Thomas.
Thanks, Tiffany. So like Tiffany said, this is a real-world example in regards to an actual client that I work with. So their team was actually performing at a high level, but they weren't reaching their business goals. The question that they were asking was, can additional prospects be generated? Well, by supplying marketing transparency, the CallSource reports can help you ensure that good advertising spend isn't thrown away behind underperforming marketing tactics. This particular client actually utilized reports and trending data to understand and maximize their marketing investment return. This graph actually represents the client's prospect call volume for their newspaper and website campaigns. So the first step in this process was to actually verify if the advertising campaigns that they assumed were strong performers were actually yielding the best returns. Determining how much a quality lead costs you across each campaign will allow you to weigh your return on investment of your marketing dollars. So through our metrics, they identified their newspaper campaign wasn't returning as strong of a result as it had in the past. So you need to learn what works and what doesn't work, and the only way to really understand this is by testing the waters, by allocating some of your budget to those new avenues. Everyone hates spending money, of course, but spending money the right way is going to be essential for creating growth. The client made the decision to reallocate the money they were spending on their newspaper campaign and reinvest it in their website campaign, as noted here in the chart. This allowed the client to generate more leads without spending more money on marketing. And after they made the switch, they quickly found that their investment was paying off. So currently what we're doing now is we're reviewing their current metrics in order to create new growth opportunities and to continue to improve ultimately. CallSource can tell you what campaigns are bringing in the highest quality leads. Use this information to reallocate marketing dollars from the marketing that is underperforming. So feel free to reach out to your designated CallSource representative or business advisor to dive into your data and identify possible capacity constraints and opportunities for improvement. Thanks, Tiffany. Back to you.
Thank you, Thomas. After evaluating this, you may be asking yourself, are there additional prospective customers in the marketplace? Sometimes the answer is unfortunately no. You've reached everyone in your particular marketplace. So what can you do in order to improve your marketing capacity? Expanding your services offered is an option. An HVAC repair business can look into adding plumbing or electrical services, and vice versa. The advantage to adding these new services are that you don't need new prospects. You can advertise to your existing client base in your current territory. Expanding your territory in order to reach new clients is another option. Both of these options are additional investments and may not be feasible to everyone. You're going to have to evaluate your business to determine the right fit for your specific needs and what would be financially feasible for your business. Our reports can be a tool to help you determine if this step makes sense to you. So what else can you do in this situation? Let's expand a little bit more on these ideas. Expanding your services or your territory is a wasted effort if your team is not converting calls into appointments at a high rate. This would identify a different constraint point, and you want to make sure you look into this before exploring either of those options. Conversion rates, or setting the appointment, is the second step in generating sales throughput or additional revenue. You can access your employee conversion rates with our system, including things like your owner summary reports. Below average conversion rates indicate that appointment setting is a constraint. Call handler skills are likely lacking in one or more areas, and there's potential for training opportunities. This would then mean that the efforts to increase marketing capacity, like expanding your territory, will not be maximized. So how do we manage this constraint if it's something you're struggling with? First, you'd want to identify opportunities to coach and train your call handlers. If this is something that you don't think that you are equipped to do and need assistance in coaching your staff, please reach out to your business advisor and they can provide you with more insight into our call coaching product or other reports that can help support you in this effort. You want to work to create a performance-based culture. This is vital. Establish goals for your call handlers. Review your call recordings with those call handlers and provide constructive feedback. And if you haven't already done so, it might be wise to set up an incentive program for your team. The ability to book appointments for prospects or customers seeking service is essential to growing a business. Again, scheduling availability essentially determines or limits the size of your business. Businesses that reach maximum scheduling capacity must turn away customers. While this allows you the luxury of being selective with the appointments you take, you're risking losing a lifetime client with the prospects you're turning away. Scheduling capacity is the #1 constraint this time of year for my heating and air clients. Oftentimes, I have clients who call in and are wondering why their team's conversion rates have plummeted. The key lies in listening to your calls. Are you unable to go out to a client's home in a timely manner? Do you not have enough techs to support your existing client base? If this sounds familiar, you're more than likely facing a scheduling constraint. It will not matter how good your team is or how strong your marketing is if you cannot actually get into homes to support your demand. The question then becomes, are we able to purchase new trucks or hire additional personnel to accommodate more prospective clients? This is the perfect time to review this information in your reporting from last year. You still have time prior to peak season to bring on additional technicians. While this is an added cost to your business, how much business are you losing by not having them on staff currently? While these are the 3 key constraints we can help you identify in the CallSource system, there are other capacity constraints a business might face that you may need to consider when attempting to identify your business's constraint points. The first we're going to look at is customer acquisition capacity. This is the ability to turn a prospect who booked an appointment with your company into a paying customer. As I'm sure you know, just because the customer booked does not guarantee they will buy. Some people may cancel an appointment. Struggling to turn appointments into customers may represent a growth constraint. This would also maybe indicate training is needed for your field staff and how to sell your products and services face-to-face. Lastly, let's talk about operational capacity. This is a limitation within the organization. Time may be an operational constraint that limits a business's growth. An owner may only have so much time to generate marketing campaigns or train their call handlers, which may lead to more investment. This is not something that we can measure directly with our metrics, but is something to keep in mind when dealing with constraints. This concludes my presentation on managing constraints. I'm going to open up the floor to any questions you may have. Please raise your hand or type your question into the box.
Hey, Tiffany, I actually have a question for you. So you indicated that time resources are one example of an operational constraint. How can CallSource help owners or leaders struggling with time management?
That's a great question. Our goal at CallSource is to be able to help you identify quickly and accurately your business's strengths and weaknesses of handling your inbound leads. This allows you to save time in investigating your constraint points, and it also allows you to start taking action on those constraints right now. As mentioned, for instance, if you just don't have the time to train your staff, CallSource has services like call coaching that can help you manage that specific constraint point. We can help do the heavy lifting in that particular area. There's many other areas that your business advisor or someone at CallSource can help you with overcoming those constraints. It looks like we have one other question, and this was in regards to the overall scheduling capacity and other ways that you may be able to identify this. One of the key things that I like to talk to my clients about in this instance is talking to your front office staff. They're taking these calls day in and day out, and having an open conversation about what they're experiencing over the phone can only help you improve, one, their day-to-day success in your business, but two, if you are facing a constraint point like scheduling capacity, talking to them will identify, hey, why are we not booking these calls? Why are we getting so many deal saver alerts? Are we only seeing appointments not being booked because we can't book them for the next 2 to 3 days and it's 100 degrees outside and their air conditioning's broken? what is exactly is happening and what are they experiencing. Another great resource, and I sort of mentioned it here, is those deal saver alerts. Listening to those deal saver alerts is a quick way to get a call in your inbox that you can listen to and identify quickly exactly what's happening on those phone calls that are not being booked into appointments. It looks like that's going to conclude our question and answer segment of this webinar. Please keep an eye out for emails for our next webinar, Creating a Performance-Based Culture. Thank you all and have a great day.
Thank you.